when you're in it, you're just so busy that
Hmm.
it's sometimes hard to stop and smell the roses and take in just how cool it is. Because
Our very own Bryce Dixon is coming home from Hollywood with a movie star.
Hello?
Hey, Madison, I got you a roll, another roll.
What kind of role is this?
Well, it is actually more like a reunion. Strictly work-related. Trust me.
You know what? Fine. I need to get out of town anyway. I went ahead and confirmed all of your reservations for the reunion. I went with the best available option.
Really? This is the best available.
Yes. Yes, it is.
good, thanks. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I like your background. I have a Christmas tree I need to light up, but what's
I
going on
was
with
just gonna
you?
say, I appreciate the sustained spirit.
Well, it's a real tree, so I'm trying to keep it up until I have to actually falls apart.
Yeah, until it becomes a fire hazard.
Right, exactly. Until it's all on the ground, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just in my studio, so
I like it. Are those
relaxed
albums?
background
Are
there.
those like platinum albums or something? Or
Yeah, just combination. Our first gold album, some touring stuff. One of our picture with Obama over there, which is kind of
oh
cool. And
wow,
one of our first like individual European. I think Germany, we did these individual albums. I don't know. I got the whole room is covered with bunch of memorabilia. Memorabilia? Can I say that
yeah,
word?
something like that.
You guys get the gist.
Yeah, where are you at currently?
I'm at my home in Venice Beach, California. How about you?
Oh, very nice. I'm in Chicago.
Yeah. How cold is it?
It's pretty well. Today was a little bit of a heat wave, so it was a high of 38. You know, but
My brother lives there. I
oh, he
never gets
does?
old. Never gets
Really?
old hearing about how fantastic your weather is.
What area of Chicago? Do you know what part in the city or outside?
He was in the West Loop for a while, and then he
Okay.
moved to Lincoln Park area.
Oh, awesome area. That's the
Yeah.
spot.
He likes it better.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool spot. With when you can go to bars, there's a lot of them out
For
there.
sure.
There's the zoo. It's a really like fun kind of upbeat spot.
Yeah. So was Wicker Park. A buddy of mine I usually crash with when I get out there. My buddy John lives
Mhm.
over in Wicker, and that's a cool little area.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of cool little areas out just outside of the city or just around the city. Like you mentioned, Wicker Park, Lakeview also, you know, it's kind of the Cubs crowd over there with Wrigley. But those are
Yeah.
like, those became like the fun areas, you know, like outside of the downtown area. Like that's where everything
sure.
kind of happens. Well, that's
Dude,
cool.
Chicago's a good time, man. It's sad to hear that a lot of places are closing. Like I DJ'd Liquor Box at the top of the year in January a year
Oh,
ago.
that's right.
Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And we're supposed to be. I'm still supposed to headline or main stage, should I say,
Uh-huh.
for a summer camp festival. So hopefully that happens. It's scheduled for this May, but we'll see if it gets pushed. But you know, love Chicago. It's been great to me, and
I'd
definitely
imagine
get
you
back
spent
out there.
some time out here. Well, especially since you have a sibling out here, but in general throughout the years, I'd imagine that would be a
Yeah, man.
stop along
For
the
sure,
way.
for sure. It's a good one.
Yeah. So how's everything? How are your holidays?
They were nice.
Yeah.
You know, the whole family decided to get together. My dad, my brother, we flew out to see my sister and niece and nephew in Florida. So
Okay.
weird traveling during the holidays, but you know, quite honestly, fewer people than any previous holidays. And since we were over there anyways, decided to take my girlfriend down to Antigua, which I'd never been to, which was just a
Wow.
beautiful, relaxing way to end and start the year.
How was that, especially nowadays?
I mean, if there's a place to go somewhere with hot weather where you're outdoors is probably one of the smartest, safest places
Yeah.
to go these days. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, we were on an island, pretty isolated, just got some rest, read a couple books, and
That's
yeah,
cool.
honestly, just worked out every day. It's like the type of vacation that you're supposed to go on that we never actually go on. Like
Right.
most of my vacations, my adolescent days, I needed a vacation from, you know, when you get back. This
Yep.
one was truly relaxing and healthy and all the stuff it should be.
Hey, you came to a point in your life when you're able to do that. That's a good thing too. You know, you can
Yeah,
actually
when the
recognize.
hangovers get worse, you're just
Yeah.
like, not worth it. And it's a great thing. It keeps you from drinking as much. It's fantastic.
Smart man right there. Well, that's good. Hey, you have a movie too. You're working on stuff. So when did you guys film Fell in Alabama? Was that prior to COVID or kind of?
Yeah, it was end of 2019. So we were out in Beaufort, South Carolina in November, December,
Wow.
October, November, December, somewhere in there, end of 2019. So, you know, funny enough, the last project I filmed and the first one coming out, I have two other movies coming out that I'd filmed over the past 3 years, but that's how these things go.
Yep.
You know, a project like this too is it's a cute rom-com, so not as many action scenes and CGI and effects. Makes sense. You can put it together in a year.
I love her. I think we lost for like maybe the last like decade or so, the rom-com just kind of like disappeared, just romantic movies in general. And now we're finally seeing him coming back. It's just, I don't know why the industry realized maybe with superhero movies, like, we don't need rom-coms, but there's always a place for these films. Like just look at Lifetime and Hallmark Channel. There's always nonstop. You know what I mean? There's an audience for that at all times.
I'd argue that's like the biggest audience too, because you get families together. It's not just a niche audience, you know, mom, grandma, the kids, even myself and my girlfriend. Like we all find ourselves jumping in and watching rom-coms because they make you feel good. And especially these days, that's what we need.
It just shocks me how we kind of like disappeared from that, from our movie. Because remember, like in the 90s, early 2000s, you know, those were the movies that are coming out every weekend in a movie theater, you know, and then it just kind of disappeared for a while and we didn't get them. So it's surprising not to see
like when Ashton Kutcher stopped making rom-coms.
Seriously.
Look, I mean,
yeah.
There's certain rom-coms, like even my dad's like, you know, man's man, 6'4", big. First movie you wanted to watch this holiday is like, let's put on Love Actually. And
yes,
because it's a damn good film, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I hope people appreciate this half as much as films like that.
No question. I mean, I'm into it. Like I'm like watching The Bachelor starring Mondays. It just started. And I got into it like with a long time, like my 2 girlfriends ago, she got me into it. I'm single for the last 4 years. I'm still watching The Bachelor by myself. So.
Do you think there might be a correlation to those two statements?
There could be potentially right there too. I might answer my question that way. So going back to the film, you mentioned you guys shot in South Carolina, which is the visuals make sense in that case. Tell me about the shoot. What do you remember from it? I mean, those kind of shoots for films like that must be a lot of fun. I mean, it seems like you guys, I mean, obviously you and Ciara had great chemistry on screen, but tell me kind of your relationship with her and just what do you remember from the filming?
Yeah, well, Ciara and I actually have known each other for almost 15 years now.
Really?
So she was one of the first people I knew out here, as we both had the same manager when I first moved to LA 14 years ago. So used to be good friends, really hadn't seen her in many years. But when I saw that she was attached to this project, it's part of the reason I wanted to jump in and do it, because it's nice to know someone and it kind of alleviates some of that pressure of you meet someone and the next day you're supposed to be dating or married, or, you know, it's strange how it goes in terms of projects like this. So, you know, very glad that I had a good friend on set just to start it off. And then the rest of the cast really just fell into place. They're all so nice, just family film. And the town represented that as well. You know, when you film in a big city, stay in a regular hotel, you know, and you go to set or a sound stage and you don't see anybody else. And that's kind of how it goes. But you film in a small town like this, especially one that isn't used to films coming in, the whole town opened up to us. I mean, literally every day, instead of having craft service on set, one of the restaurants in the town would host us for lunch.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
is like, you don't get that anywhere else, man. It was awesome. They'd close down the entire thing just for us to come in. They'd make their specialties. Like, they were just so excited to have us. They'd stop and set up lawn chairs. I kid you not. We're doing exterior shots in the town and just like hang out and watch us the afternoon, which it really made us feel special and welcome.
That's cool. That must give you like a whole different perspective as an actor too. You know, when you have the community involved, and this is kind of a film for like people, you know, in general, everyone could understand it and take away something from it. For, you know, family, guys, girls, you know, even it's a movie for anyone in that sort of way too. So that must be changing, because like you mentioned, those other like bigger shoots, like you're in a big city, you have like certain little areas blocked off only, you need to keep on moving, you know, there's not much access. But like this one, the whole thing opens up to you. That must be pretty cool.
It really was. And you know, it's a nice reminder of just how cool our jobs are too. It's very
Mhm.
easy to kind of get into the routine of it when you're on a soundstage and you don't see anybody else. But it's so nice to just see how much joy it brings other people, and a good reminder how freaking lucky we are to be acting for a living. It's so cool.
Seriously, no question. I think that's well said. Wow, I did not know that you and Ciara had such a long friendship for 50. Wow, that's crazy. Did it make things easier? I mean, I'm assuming it would, especially since you have a built-in friendship for all these years. But then, how do you turn that into like romantically on screen? How do you
You just start by you just goofing around. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that any relationship is based in kind of being friends in the first place. I mean, my girlfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years now, and like most of our time is spent hanging out. That's what it is, and it's goofing on each other. So you bring that in as friends to begin with, and then the rest of it just kind of becomes easy.
Oh, that's cool. I like how you played an agent, a Hollywood agent. Man, that's quite the role right there, because those people have interesting personalities, to say the least. I'm sure you've come across a few of them in your career.
Oh boy, I have stories that I will not tell you.
I can imagine.
Publicly,
They're not
but
always
maybe
great.
over a drink in Chicago.
There you go. They're probably not for air stories in a lot of ways too.
No, but I will say though that those agents that I did have in the past, I left because they are representations of me, and when I would learn these things about them or certain things went down, I've never been okay with that. But a couple of years ago, I found my amazing agents I do have now. These ladies are tenacious and kind and hardworking. So I was able to draw from them, Gwen Pepper and Dee Dee Binder, a little shout out, to draw from them to create a very positive look on an agent, one that I do have in my life these days, and that Bryce is an example of. He got caught up a little bit in Hollywood and all the things that frankly all of us do to some degree when you're in the limelight, have success whether in front of the camera or behind, but quickly remembered where he was from when he went back home and who he was. And I think that's part of the sweet arc and journey, because deep down he really is a good guy.
That's really cool that you kind of brought it up that way. And mentioning that perspective, I recently just spoke to Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees. And
I love Jeff.
Jeff's awesome.
Yeah.
And, I asked him, and you kind of have a similar thing you could probably relate, being young and being successful in a sense, and being kind of have this popularity and traveling the world, like a lot of things you might not be ready for. I felt like Jeff really described kind of the fame part of his life and how it happened so fast, and you just kind of don't realize it, until like years later, you kind of look back at it. When you look back at your career too, with Big Time Rush and how you guys started out young, what was your kind of intro into fame, and how fast is kind of a whirlwind life that becomes, where you're on, you have all this access to women and people talking about you, and you're traveling to these places that you could never imagine. When you look back at it now, what do you kind of feel and think about that aspect?
I think to Jeff's point, when you're in it, you're just so busy that it's sometimes hard to stop and smell the roses and take in just how cool it is. Because, we would play 10 or 20,000 people a night, but then I'd have to get on a bus or a plane and be somewhere within 12 hours or 8 hours in another country sometimes to play the next show and do the next bit of press and then jump on, and maybe I'm filming something. And it was so nonstop that I don't think that any of us really let it get to our heads, because we just didn't have the time. But it does make it easier to let some time pass and look back on and go, man, that was really, really cool. And I think that's something that I've learned as I've gotten older. And I kind of call this chapter 2 of my career. I really believe I'm just starting chapter 2. But within this chapter, I want to take the moments to appreciate everything. And it wasn't that I didn't appreciate it then, but it was just like, you're so worried about being on time and not screwing up and getting the next gig. It's kind of second nature now. I'm going to be early. I'm going to know my lines. I'm going to be prepared for the show. But you got to go out to that local restaurant and try it. You got to talk to people in the city. You got to take the days off to walk around and explore. And to me, those are the best memories that I have filming and touring around the world. The times when I take time to actually immerse in the culture and step away from my actual job. And I'm trying to do more and more of that, as things go on.
You know, I always kind of wonder, like, very few people in life, like you and Jeff, actually have that in common, that get to live that kind of life, and that most can't even imagine. You know, just like, oh, you think about, oh my God, you're a rock star, whatever, you have the perfect life, but it's like you mentioned too, and both of you kind of mentioned, it's so nonstop. It's kind of draining. Like, you don't even know what city you're waking up sometimes in, and it's not I mean, you do have great access and ability to witness things and experience things, but also the demand and the pressure, and like you said, the time, you know, everything, you have a lack of time for everything. That's something that doesn't get seen by people, you know, who in a sense go to these concerts, or just fans in general.
Not if we do our job well.
Yeah, exactly. That's very well said right there. Yep. But it's so interesting in that way. You know, I always wonder, like, oh, if you guys had been older during that time, you know, instead of being like maybe teenagers, early 20s, where you were maybe like 31 when you caught that. I always wonder, like, what sort of ways would you approach it, or would have ended up the same way? Do you ever think about it, if you were older during that time and you caught that kind of success, how differently you approach it, or you think it kind of come out the same it did?
I mean, it's just hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, because I'm 30 years old now. If I were to just start now,
Yeah.
if I were still living on a couch and, and broke, there'd be a very different approach to things. There'd be a little bit more of a desperate need for something to work, right? Because you want more. You want not, you know, to not be stressing about rent and gas and food and all the things that I remember stressing about as a kid. It's a little more normal to do it when you're young, because that's kind of how it goes. You hope that by the time you get to 30, you have a little saved. And then I hope by the time I'm 40, I have even more saved. That's kind of how I've always thought. But I don't know, man, I wouldn't change it for the world, because I did do all that to set myself up to be here now, where I am able to be slightly more comfortable. I'm still never going to be comfortable. The day that I'm really comfortable is the day I need to just stop, because it means that I don't care. But it's easy for me to say no to a project that I don't think is going to benefit me. You know, I put myself in a position where I live relatively frugally, because I don't want to have to take something that I don't think is going to be a real positive step forward in my career, whether it's musical or you know, in terms of film. And so again, that's like, also, we'll see how far this chapter goes. You know, I want to play a bloody superhero one day. I want to do all these other things that I just haven't even, you know, I'm just scratching the surface of this year. And that's what's cool, man. We have a lot of time as actors. And I'm sure I will regret saying that when I watch this tape in 20 years. But yeah, we
They won't be around.
older characters to play. Huh? God willing, a lot of time.
There you go. You know, that's the thing too. This, like you mentioned, this second act or second chapter of your life, you know, this new chapter, now that you're kind of obviously more mature and more stable in your life, as an actor versus kind of, as you saw the musical part as a musician part, what are some of the challenges, or how does it get easier or more difficult in that sense, maybe changing the mediums? Because it's still entertainment medium, but it's very different in that sense. You know, live performance versus filming a film, you know, where things are very slow sometimes, and there's a whole different aspect and approach of it. How do you view this aspect of your career, as maybe more challenging or easier because you've experienced all that you have at a younger age?
I mean, frankly, it's a bit of both. It's, you know, obviously performing has gotten easier and easier. That's like a muscle. The more you do it, the more I know, okay, I could jump on a piano or a guitar and play a song and sing something right now if I needed to. Acting is a different beast every single time. And especially this last year, one major shift is that all of our auditions, at least the first one or two or three in callbacks, are done at home. So it says we've all had to learn new skills, from lighting to filming to editing.
That's
to doing self-tapes. And in some ways it's great, because you get multiple takes and you get to put your best foot forward. But in other ways, you lose the intimacy of meeting somebody in person. So it's just strange, man. You know, we're all trying to navigate it as best we can. But, you know, look, one of my coaches figured out Zoom classes. So I'm still able to do acting classes. It's just, I'm reading with partners like this instead of as in person. But you find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And one of the other, you know, one silver lining of it too is that we can do everything remotely. So I used to feel like I have to be in LA, and I actually am talking to Jeff about getting a place out in Vegas in the next couple of months, because for the DJ world, I want to build that market. I want some more space. kind of the freedom of being out there and having more land and dirt bikes and all the stuff that I miss.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason why I can't just bring my lights and camera and film most of my stuff out there and fly to LA when I really need to be on set. If it's in LA, it's probably in Georgia or Vancouver. So
yeah, you never know these days, right?
Yeah, and that's the exciting part, man. And that's why I'm taking this big risk and I'm moving this year. But we got to look at these as opportunities. And nobody changes and nothing changes without pressure. So we're doing our best. I'm doing my best to embrace it and let that be a positive change.
Mm-hmm. What sort of music do you like these days? So what are some maybe musicians or performers or bands or groups that you listen to and enjoy? What do you like? What's your musical taste in a sense?
I mean, I've always been into electronic music. I've always liked going and dancing and seeing DJs spin and, from like Porter Robinson to Madeon, like, people that are really, they'll throw in real instrumentals with synthetics. And that's what I try and do with my group, with LTX.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend and I is the most accomplished musician in the world, violinist, and he produces and I write and sing and we just have fun together.
That's cool.
So, I mean, yeah.
Doing what you like and what you're into, that's the best thing you can ask for if you're at a point in your career to do things that mean something to you personally.
Yeah, and you have fun doing it, and if it starts out being fun, then it grows to be successful and it'll always be fun, at least a lot more so than if it's forced and not organic.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good advice kind of on life. If you do things for the right ways because it makes you happy and you enjoy it, that's when you kind of turn it into a career, or it becomes a career instead of focusing like, oh, I need to make it a career. How do I make a job out of it? When you look at the optics from where you have to get to instead of enjoying the process and the moment of what got you into it, that I think usually leads to the right path.
Yeah, man. I always equate this to playing an instrument. If you pick up a guitar and every time you practice, it sucks and you're bored and like you don't like it and you're never going to become the best guitarist, but that's okay. Try something else,
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was piano, and this is only in instruments, but I think it pertains to anything that you're going to do. When you pick something up and the practice doesn't feel like practice, the practice is just fun. It's playtime. That's when you're doing something that you love. And the more you do it, the better you're going to become. And you may absolutely figure out a way to make money doing that.
Yep. I think that's well said. Do you keep in touch with the guys regularly from Big Time Rush? I mean, you guys get together maybe or have Zoom calls now? Because I know a lot of you went into acting too. That's the kind of the cool part. Like you venture off into the same medium too.
Yeah, no, look, we've kept in touch a lot more during this last year than previous years, to be honest. A lot of things are happening. We wanted to get together a few times and create some BTR moments for our fans, which has been really nice. I think just as a positive nostalgia, wanted to put some stuff out there to make people smile. And, the more we've chatted, the more we thought, hey, maybe there's an opportunity to do something in the future. Nothing's set in stone. There's no announcements. There's nothing going on because, until COVID is taken care of, there's no touring for any of us individually, much less collectively. But, love the guys, and Carlos is having baby number 3 now with Alexa, and they're like family. We do keep in touch.
Yeah, they had a movie, Mighty Oak, I believe, that I covered that one too. So that was kind of cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
You see, it's all kind of crazy how you start off at a one point and then you kind of circle back to it too, in a different stage of your lives, that things kind of come back together. That's kind of the cool thing about this world and entertainment and just life in general, that you start out at one place, but it all circles back, It
all intertwines at one point or another. Yeah. Or intersect, should I say.
Totally. And finally, wanted to ask you, what are some of your hobbies and interests? What are the things you do for fun when you're not working, when you just kind of have some free time?
Anything that's fast, I've always been a fan of. I've got a 72 Bronco that I've been building for the last 10 years. That she's pushing 500 horsepower, 500 pound-foot of torque just because she can. I blew up 6 transmissions to figure that one out.
Oh, wow.
But I balance it out. I got a Tesla this year. So I have one green vehicle just to balance it out, right? We're trying. What else? I live on the beach here and I've always loved surfing and just anything, active and outdoors. And now when I go to Vegas, I really am excited to
get dirt
bikes again. Sorry?
Yeah. You get the desert now, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty pumped about it, man. just spend more time out in that desert life.
Mm-hmm. It's cool if you get to, always evolving in life, one thing to another, and find the positive in it, because sometimes you can get too comfortable in your setting and just like enjoy things throughout. But the more you experience, the more you try, I think you just become a richer person, at the end of the day.
And that's really how I've felt being here. I'm very, very lucky. I have a beautiful house. There's been some times where I'm like, dude, I just turned 30. Like, I don't need any of this crap. Man, I've actually gotten rid of more and more stuff. And it's part of the impetus to me going, I just want to put myself in a more uncomfortable position. I'm still doing great. Everything's still moving, but how much more proficient and how much more creativity could I possibly get out of just getting rid of everything? And so as crazy as that sounds, and maybe it will be crazy, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting my house on the market to rent in the next couple of weeks and just trying something completely new.
Why not? Take a shot, because you know what? If it doesn't work at the end of the day, it's not what you thought. You can always come back. You can always come back to it. I mean, it's not going to disappear for you. So like this, you're giving yourself a chance, and you're not going to have one of those, oh, I wish I tried this one day, when I had a chance. That's the worst thing you do, is like have regrets or second thoughts, And
I never thought I'd be in one place for, LA. I've been in for 14 years. That's a long freaking time. I'm almost 14, 13, I guess, moving out 17. But yeah, dude, I think that a change of pace, if this year has told us anything, it's that might be time for a change in a lot of different ways. So I'm taking that to heart and going to give it a big old change in the next couple months.
Awesome. I enjoyed this. This was fun to catch up with you.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Remember your music kind of growing up and stuff. We're about the same age. So that's kind of cool to see what you're doing now with your life and career, and how things have evolved. And you're doing well. You're doing well in the acting world, and putting out, doing romantic comedy. So it can't be too bad. You know what I mean? I was dreaming
bringing them back.
If I get to act, like, oh yeah, you get to kiss beautiful women, tell fun stories. I think I'd like to have that gig.
It's not a bad gig, my friend.
No question. And it's cool that you get to smell the roses in that sense and kind of appreciate the moments.
Yep, trying to more and more.
Exactly. Well, James, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me. Looking forward to more of your work coming out now, and hopefully this whole Vegas thing, you can join up with Jeff. He's out there, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, no, I literally saw him last time I was in Vegas, chatting about where he lives, and he's becoming a good friend. He's good people.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna catch up with him again in the next couple of weeks. That'll be cool. He's working on this cool app for kind of creative, so he's got stuff going on that's really interesting and cool.
Always hustling, always moving.
That's right.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for your time, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully to catch up down the road again.
Look forward to it.
Take care, James.
Right.
Bye-bye.
We shouldn't.
Rules are meant to be broken.